If you're trying to develop more control on your forehand, then I'm going to help you with that in this video, because I'm going to lay out a 4-step process that you can follow to massively improve your control. But it's important that you do follow all of the steps. Now, the first step is going to be high quality, consistent on-court practice. It's not enough to just head out on court and play points and matches. That doesn't improve your control. You need good quality practice, and what that means is fixing the underlying problems with your strokes. There's a lot of videos out there that claim that we can hit the ball like Federer in 3 simple steps, and you can tweak this or tweak that and you'll have instant power and control. That's not the way it works. Tennis is all about foundations, basic stuff. You have to get all the basics right, all the foundations in place, and then that allows you to have lots of control and of course power if you want that as well. So when it comes to analyzing the foundations, you need to look at your strokes and figure out where it's going right and where it's going wrong. Are you setting up in the right position for your shots? Do you prepare well? Are you having a good quality unit turn? All these things in place, and then if they are, what about the swing mechanics? Are there things that you need to adjust there? Now, this is a video of my practice session recently. I'm actually a right-handed player, but I had to stop playing right-handed, and I'm now relearning to play left-handed. So this is me. I've been working on my left-handed game for a couple of years, and my forehand is starting to take shape. But what I'm focusing on here is still a foundational component. I'm really practicing the preparation and the spacing. I still have a little bit of a tendency to get slightly too close to the ball on my forehand, especially when it's up a little bit higher, and that's what I'm working on here. So I'm just doing this practice session, focusing on preparing and setting up the right distance from the ball. And I'm just doing repetition after repetition, trying to groove it in, so that hopefully then when I play points, when I play matches, I've kind of habituated and automated the spacing process, and I can do it automatically. So I have to get that foundational piece in place, so that's what I'm practicing. The second step in the process is to work on improving your footwork. Footwork is one of the most fundamental pieces of the puzzle in tennis, and it's something that most players struggle with. If you're not ready and set up in time, if you're not set up in the right position to hit your forehand, the chances of you having good control over your forehand go down dramatically, which means you need to prioritize working on your footwork. So, as you know, in this session, I'm working on fixing my spacing. I'm trying not to get too close to the ball, or I'm trying to be further away from the ball. And depending where the ball goes, I have to use slightly different footwork patterns to help me set up in the right position. And because tennis footwork patterns are very unusual, you have to work on them off the court first. So you have to spend time practicing the individual footwork patterns, programming them into your system so that then they become habitual, and once they're a habit, then they'll start to happen more automatically when you're on court. So instead of going through a series of footwork patterns here, what I've done is I've created a free program to help you with this. So the free program is going to take you through different footwork patterns and teach you how to prepare and set up in the right position. I'll place a link to this free footwork program up there, and I'll place a link down in the description so that you can download that and start working on it. Step 3 is where things get a little bit different to what you might be expecting, because step 3 is you need to improve your coordination. It's crucial for you to understand that ultimately the thing that dictates where the ball goes is your ability to control the angle of the racket face at the moment of contact. So yes, we need to be set up in the right position. We need to have a good understanding of the biomechanics and the technique, and we can think about making certain technical adjustments, but ultimately this is going to come down to how coordinated you are. Every single shot that you ever hit is different, which means you have to manipulate the angle of your racket face at contact or prior to contact on every single shot. And to do that, you have to have a tremendous level of coordination. And this is one of the things that holds players back and really stops them improving past a certain point. Because if your coordination isn't good enough, it doesn't matter how much you practice, how many lessons you take, your coordination isn't good enough. The good news though is that we can actually train coordination. using very simple brain-based training exercises like I'm doing here. The nuts and bolts of this are, there's parts of the brain that create movement, there's parts of the brain that coordinate movement, and when you understand what these parts of the brain do, and you understand that our brains are plastic, which means they can change and adapt if we train them in the right way, we can create very simple training exercises, and when we do them consistently, it can lead to improvements in coordination. And that's why I'm able to do the stuff that I'm able to do with my left hand, because I spend a lot of time off the court working on improving my level of coordination. So here I'm doing a banded coordination exercise. The band is attached to the net post, as you can see, but I'm trying to make really precise circular shapes with my forearm and my wrist. So I'm telling my brain, okay, try and make this precise circle. The band is pulling me in funny directions, and as you can see, I've got the band coming from different directions, and then my brain has to correct this movement, and as it works hard to do that, and as I do this consistently, it trains and improves and kind of strengthens the parts of the brain that deal with coordination, just like you strengthen your muscles if you keep on working on them in the gym, or you strengthen your lungs and respiratory muscles if you work on your cardiovascular exercises. So we're thinking about the same process but applied to coordination, and when done consistently, it massively helps with your level of control. In this second exercise here, I'm now starting to add more of a rhythm and a speed component to it, because obviously in tennis you need to have accurate movements, but the other thing you need to be able to do is you need to be able to adjust the speed of your movements based on the ball that you're dealing with. So depending how far the ball is away, you might need to swing a little bit faster or a little bit slower. So I do metronome work at different speeds, trying to coordinate my movements at different speeds, and again that trains the brain to make you more coordinated, and by doing this consistently, it is going to massively improve your ability to control your shots. Step 4 is going to be another one that you might not be familiar with, because the next thing we need to do is we need to train and improve how well our visual system functions. Everything that you do on court depends on how well you can see, and as we've just said, every single shot that you deal with is different. You need to have the level of coordination in order to be able to make necessary adjustments to manipulate the angle of your racket face. Ultimately, that's what the control is, but you have to do that on the shot, and you have to be able to recognize the precise timing of the flight of the ball. So if the ball is a little bit further away when you start your swing, you need to swing a little bit slower. If it's a little bit nearer to you or it's traveling faster, you need to swing more quickly. So in order to make the adjustments, your visual system has to function at an amazingly high level. And a lot of people think their vision is okay, maybe because they go to the eye doctors and they've been told that they've got 20/20 vision, or they don't wear glasses. But there are lots of different visual skills that are needed in tennis, and simply being able to see letters clearly when you're sitting in a doctor's office doesn't mean that you have high function in all of the other different visual skills. And one of the big ones is going to be your ability to judge distance and depth and speed. So these first exercises I'm working on here are designed to improve eye coordination, to get the brain to be able to process the image from both eyes, because a lot of people's brains are only using the image from one eye, and that causes problems with depth perception. So using brain-based training, we can train and we can improve the ability of the brain to use both eyes together. We can also improve the coordination of how our visual system is working. So this exercise here is designed to train a specific skill called convergence. Now, if you notice, I'm doing it in different head positions, and the reason that I'm doing it in different head positions is because when we move our head into a different position, it changes the way the visual system gets controlled. And obviously when you're playing, you're hitting the ball, your head is constantly moving, so you need to reflect that in the way that you train your visual system. And then the final exercise that I'm doing is designed to improve how my balance system functions. So this is training a specific reflex that allows your eyes to stay fixed on the ball as you move your head. So doing simple exercises like this can massively improve your visual competency, allows you to anticipate better, react faster, read where the ball is going more effectively, give you better timing, enable you to watch the ball more effectively through to contact. So that's my 4-step process for massively improving the level of control on your forehand, and you really do need all 4 steps. As I said earlier, I was a right-handed player for most of my life, And some of the things that I now do left-handed, I couldn't do for most of my life with my right hand. I was able to completely transform my right-handed game once I'd learned about brain-based training, and I improved my vision and I improved my coordination and addressed some of the things that were going on. Unfortunately, I separated my collarbone in a mountain bike crash, which is why I've transitioned over to playing left-handed. But what this has now allowed me to see is when we approach things in this way, it can change what's possible. You can improve your skill level. You can basically become a more talented tennis player. And ultimately, that allows you to play a much higher level of tennis than you would otherwise have been able to. So you always need good quality, consistent on-court practice, but you can only play at the level that your body will allow you to play at. And brain-based training allows you to change that side of things. So try the exercises that I've done here, but if you would like to learn more about brain-based training for tennis, I've created a class that's going to go into a lot more detail about it, and it's also going to explain about a program that I've got where I teach players how to use this style of training to improve their tennis. I'll place a link to this brain-based training class up in the corner, and I'll place that down in the description as well. So if you're interested in learning more, click on either of those links, watch the class, and it'll explain everything you need to know. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed this video and found it to be helpful. If you've got any questions about what I've talked about here, leave them down below. If not, I look forward to seeing you next time.